I don't know how many of you this affects, but for many people, when they feel like they're losing control or they're stressed out, they take a tactic that's I call overfunctioning. Many times this comes from their childhood, especially if they grew up with an alcoholic parent or someone that put them in charge at an early age for doing things. Now, if you've never been around an overfunctioner, I'm really happy for you. But if you have, you may notice it by someone, your partner perhaps, who tries to show you or tell you or lecture you how to load the dishwasher. Or when you're driving, they're telling you how to drive, when to stop, when to go forward. These are all forms of overfunctioning, and many times they don't realize they're doing it. The problem is when you're an overfunctioner, you get burned out fast. You burn out quicker in a relationship. You get more stressed. You get more irritable. And many times, all your partner knows is that you're crabby. You're no fun to be around. You're bitchy. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is that you overfunction. So today, I'm going to give you some lists of what overfunctioning looks like, because I think it happens to couples more than they know. And it's actually underneath how they're acting, whether it's irritable, bitchy, or just crabby all the time, burned out. So let me go through this list. Okay, you make sure your partner wakes up and goes to bed at a certain time. Use phrases like no worries in emails to calm other people down. You have goals for your spouse or your child, and they don't have the same goals for themselves. You give advice to distressed friends, even if they don't ask for it. You're always picking the restaurant for your friend group. You're lecturing a family member about how to cook dinner when they volunteered. You're doing something for your kid that they can do for themselves, but it will create a mess, and you're doing it because you don't want the mess. Doing something for someone they can do because it takes less time. When you're overfunctioning, time is of the essence. Taking on a task at work because teaching another person will be too frustrating. Being overly accommodating when people need to reschedule meetings. In other words, you're always putting yourself last. Once again, you're worried about how they're going to feel. You're not sharing important beliefs to prevent making others anxious. You're telling someone what to order when you go to a restaurant. This happens to me all the time. You're explaining someone else's thinking in a work meeting, even when that person is there, because you honestly want to save time and you think you're better at it. You're giving your adult parent dating advice. This is for all you parents and kids who have parents who are dating. And this is a common issue when I do psychotherapy with that generation. Mind reading. You're mind reading the wishes of a family member without asking them. You're furiously competing tasks for other people when you feel bored, anxious, or distressed. It's a way of coping. It's a way of calming you down. You're always volunteering for the most challenging piece of a project. And the reason you are is you think you can save time and do it better than anyone else. Okay, if you have this, there are ways to interrupt it. And once again, the most important thing you can do is practice self-awareness, because otherwise people may complain about you doing this, but you won't make the changes because they're going to complain about how frustrated you seem, or how down you seem, or how overwhelmed or burned out you seem. They're not going to know exactly what you're doing. You have to observe the behavior in important relationships. So you have to be able to see it, especially when you do it with your spouse. And then you have to determine how you'd actually like to behave. So have a one side and another side saying, this is what I really would like to do. Be willing to sit with the discomfort of letting other people be responsible for themselves. Remember, when you're an overfunctioning, you're enabling others to stay stuck in never being responsible. And this is something you don't want to do. You want a responsible partner. Sometimes it means just sitting on your hands and saying, I am not going to do this. They are going to have to figure it out. And I'm going to have to be present to watch it. Because there's no escaping it. It's going to be grueling to watch somebody else figure this out when you could do it or take care of it in a matter of minutes. And lastly, look for opportunities in important relationships to enter this discomfort. Why are you doing that? Because whenever you overfunction for another person, you actually keep them stuck in an irresponsible mode. They are never able to step up to the table. And it partly is them, they're lazy, but partly it's you too, because you're enabling their function. You're getting exhausted, frustrated, and resentful about it, quite honestly. So, as you pay attention to the small ways that you overfunction for others, you should ask yourself these questions then. When does my sensitivity to others' anxiety make me overly helpful? Now, if you just start jotting that down, so you're relieving others' anxiety by doing more for them. The problem is this is going to burn you out and make you less available for the priority people in your life. How would I like to be less responsible for others and more responsible for myself? When you start taking some of other people's responsibility off your plate, you're going to feel a void in your life and you're going to want to fill that. Don't allow that void. Allow that time. I'm going to suggest that you begin filling that time with self-care practices for yourself. And lastly, what are upcoming opportunities for me to turn off my autopilot and let people manage themselves? A perfect example of this is if you're always taking charge of trips and navigating, turn it off. Listen to music. Listen to calming music. Let your partner navigate the way. Your partner's driving, let them learn, okay, before I go on a trip, I actually look on my phone so I know the way and then I follow it on the map. This is an area of growth for them and it's growth for you because you don't have to do everything. You need that time to nurture and care for yourselves. So all you overfunctioners, if you're feeling overwhelmed and burned out, let's practice this and just see if we can grow stronger and more aware in this area.